The Raptors hang on for an overtime win over the Washington Wizards, 116-109. Welcome to Raptors Tonight. I'm Randy Irvin, joined by Leo Rautins, Jack Armstrong, and Jevohn Shepherd. Jevohn, Raptors almost let it slip away there. They had some chances to seal it with some Fred VanVleet shots, and I was so happy that he hit them in overtime because he was having such a great game there.
Yeah, I think, that to me, again, is a sign of your leader, right? And I think as a shooter, you have to have a short memory. He came out and he missed a couple easy rhythm shots, but then the ones that you needed, he stepped up and knocked them down. And then not only does it count for 3-6 points on the board, but as your leader, a guy like that steps up, it gives your team a confidence, right? It calms your team a bit because everybody knows, Fred is going to take charge. But I like the fact that, Scotty as well, they when they needed a bucket down the stretch, they went to that 4-out-1 in offense, and Scotty made plays, right? Big time plays. And I think for a team like this, and you think about the stretch that they're going into, that West Coast swing, it's going to be, a tough, rigorous schedule. To learn how to win and close out a game like this, it had that playoff feel, but you did it in overtime. So this it counts as one win in the column, but it counts as two in the locker room for the confidence of the group, in my opinion.
Jack, what did you see that allowed the Raptors to pull this one out?
Well, I just thought they played incredibly gutty defensively tonight. I thought their late game execution overall, particularly in overtime, they just missed some shots down the stretch in the fourth. But I thought Bradley Beal played hero ball. I thought VanVleet did a great job in that matchup. And I just thought the Raptors were more functional and disciplined offensively down the stretch. If I were Kyle Kuzma, I'd be furious because he barely saw the ball late in the game or in overtime. And he won his matchups on Thursday night against the Raptors, and they froze him out. But to me, I just think that the Raptors were just – it was just more urgent to them tonight. But this is a heck of a game. This had a great playoff feel to it.
Leo, Nick Nurse talked about the compete level and the lack thereof in the first meeting on Thursday night. What did you think about the compete level tonight?
Yeah, I mean, as Nick Nurse said, it was very disappointing. I did not expect to see what I saw the other night, in light of what we're facing here. And you look at these were two games the Raptors needed to get. And that first one was a giveaway. They got this one. How did they get this one? Started off a little shaky, but as the game went on, that energy was there defensively. And, Nick Nurse shouldn't be talking about energy at this stage of the game. If everybody understands what's going on, you come out and you're just going to leave it on the floor. And we saw that in the second half and down the stretch of this game. And that's the way they got to play from this point on. There's got to be they got to play with a high level of physicality. They have to contain the basketball. I mean, if you look at Fred, right? Fred's had a lot of games where he struggled containing the basketball. I thought he did a better job than most in this game. And that's the way it's got to be. I mean, he's the head of the snake, right? So he's got to make sure that he's doing it and everybody else is doing it. And when they do that, that's when they become a different team. They're a team that can make some noise, that can beat some teams. But, again, it's a little disconcerting when you have to keep bringing it up. And you hope that maybe a win like this lets them understand. Now you're going into a real tough place to play in Denver. And if you don't have that physicality and the energy to contain the ball, you're in big trouble.
Yeah, Jevohn, are you a little concerned that, the Raptors go up by 13 in this one, and then they kind of get away from that ball-sharing style that makes them so effective? Does that scare you here going forward?
I mean, it should be concerning for everybody, right? Because as a team, with as much on the line right now, you've really got to lock in and understand moving the basketball, sharing the basketball, it works, right? And you see the results. I think tonight in the third quarter, it's simple, and everybody talks about the three-point shooting, but when they were moving the basketball and they were able to use their length and their athleticism, you got 4, 6, 8 points in a row right in the dunker spot. You have guys that can get into the paint. You have guys that can finish. You've got to utilize that. And I think, the reality is, I think it's the elephant in the room, and nobody really wants to say it. It starts with Pascal Siakam, right? He has to be more of and I don't know if it's a feel thing. He's got to be more of a willing passer at times. And I think he's done his job. He's commanding, the eyes of the defense. You've got to be willing for that ball to pop out, that ball to move, because even though you're getting guys shots, it's got to be in rhythm. You know, guys can't be on the perimeter waiting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds because it gets them out of their rhythm. So I think, you know, the team has the capability. You see when they're moving the basketball, they have success. Now to be victorious and down this stretch, you've got to continue to play like that. And it also motivates everybody on the defensive end to give a little more. Leo touched on it as well. When the energy shifts on this team, it's a completely different game. When they're running, when they're passing, when they're moving the ball, when they're committing, everybody's committing and communicating on the defensive end. It's a simple game. Nobody needs to look over and play the half-court game and look over at Nick Nurse to get play calls, to get turnovers, get rebounds, get on the run. It's an easy game.
Yeah, Jack, we talk about this a lot on the show. You know, the game's not won and lost at the end, although it sometimes feels like that. But for me, I thought in that second quarter, the Raptors bench was especially critical.
Well, it was. And obviously, Gary Trent Jr. was sensational. I thought they did a better job tonight, getting him in spots where he could have rhythm shots and finish and feel comfortable. He looked totally out of sorts the other night in terms of, like, where's my shots coming from? Like, you know, just and tonight, the game plan itself was more cohesive. They were more together. It was really good. And then, you know, I thought Achua, Boucher, Will Barton, I mean, Thad Young, whoever came in, I mean, you know, I liked what I saw tonight. They were just more functional, more together. Whatever transitional combination groups you had going with a few starters and a few reserves, they seemed to function properly, share the ball, get good shots. Hey, man, to Jevohn's point, he's right. This is a team game, man. This is a team game. And I think too often in the NBA, there's this expectation that if you're the leading scorer on the team or whatever, that you have to dominate the ball late in games. And I think if you're a Wizard fan driving home tonight, you're probably pretty ticked that Bradley Beal tried to dominate the ball and he couldn't win his matchup against VanVleet. And the other four guys are standing around. By the way, Kispert made all his threes. Delon Wright played well. Kuzma is a real good player. Porzingis has to be spoon-fed certain shots. And if you're standing around watching a guy, and, you know, to your point about Pascal, I think he had 7 assists tonight. Maybe he left a few on the court tonight. But that's all part of it now. And you know what? In defense of Pascal, it's a trust level that he has with his teammates. I think the roster he's on now, compared to maybe what it was a month ago, with a healthier team, and now Will Barton, you got more depth. You got Gary Trent Jr. coming off the bench. I think you can trust more.
I think, and to your point, Jack, I think, you know, Pascal's averaging 6 assists on the season. I think he could be a guy that's a 9-assist guy easily, right? Because he commands so much attention. So he has that ability. I did like tonight, there was a point in that third and fourth quarter where Scotty Barnes, he knew that Gary Trent Jr. was hot, and Gary's going to get credit for the points, but he was out there orchestrating. He was directing traffic, and he was forcing guys to set screens for Gary. And I thought that was great recognition for the young fella to get out there and you could just see him pointing, communicating, just directing the traffic. That was big time for me.
Yeah, and Leo, for Gary, it's not often that he has 2 bad games in a row. And this just speaks to, you know, what he can provide for this team going forward coming off the bench. This is really like the perfect game that you want from Gary Trent Jr.
No, and Gary, no, he doesn't allow one game to become a second game, right? He's pretty good at with his mental toughness and dealing with that. And, you know, hey, what's the job of coming off the bench? Maintain or raise the level of play, right? You want a guy that's ready to go when he steps into the game. And Gary is ready. And the great thing about it, I mean, he's a multi-level scorer, right? He can knock down the three, he can come off the screen, he can get inside the lane. He scores in transition. He does all kinds of things offensively, and he also contributes defensively. So you look at, I think what happens is you get a guy like that coming in with the bench group, there's a level of confidence that kind of carries over in everybody else, right? You're seeing the ball going in, you're getting some movement, you get some success, and then everybody else kind of gets involved in that and starts becoming a part of that. So I think Gary Trent, the dynamics change with this team, with him coming in off the bench, and if this team, you know, it evolves and lives up to, you know, fulfills what we believe that they can be, Gary Trent's going to be a huge part of that with the second unit.
Guys, let's go a little bit overtime here. The Grizzlies suspended John Morant for at least 2 games after he apparently went live on Instagram from a gentleman's club early this morning and flashed a gun. The NBA is investigating. And this, of course, comes on the heels of a Washington Post article which detailed incidents of assault and threatening behavior by Morant during the last year. Jack, what disturbs you the most about all of this?
Well, I got to run for the bus because we're flying to Denver, so I can only just comment on this, and I got to run.
Yeah.
I just think that someone's got to get to him and say, hey, man, there's a lot at stake here. You're a wonderful young player. There are so many kids out there. I mean, I have friends with little boys, little girls that love Ja Morant's game. They're so excited to watch him play. Don't kill the golden goose here. You know, you got a good thing going. All right. You're one of the featured young stars in our game. He's a joy to watch play, but enough. Whoever's around him, if there's people around you that shouldn't be around them, get them out of your circle. And I think it's time for someone to give him some really, really tough love.
Jump in there, Jevohn.
Yeah, you know, I'm a little disappointed because I remember when Memphis played in Toronto and Ja had a post-game interview. And I'm telling you, the arena was still packed until he left that court. Yeah. Right. And there's an influence that he has right now. There's a responsibility that comes with the platform that you have. And some of this stuff, it's irresponsible. And you've got to understand, you have the keys to the NBA right now. It's not just, you know, the keys to Memphis. You want to feature one of the feature players in the NBA. So, you know, Jack's right. Somebody in his corner. And if nobody's there right now, he's got to get a different, you know, community. He's got to get a different set of people around him, network based there, just to you know, reel him in, control him. And it's unfortunate because his father is active and around. You know, he's got to step up as well and say, right now, you have the world at your palms, and this can really impact not just the NBA, but all these millions of kids that are really inspired by Ja Morant right now.
Last word to you, Leo.
Very disappointing. I think Shannon Sharp said something a couple of weeks ago or a month ago with the initial incident, basically saying that, hey, stop living the thug life. You're not a thug. I mean, you work your tail off to get out of whatever environment you're in, and now you have great success. You got to understand why you have success. And if you got a bunch of clowns around you, you got to get rid of those clowns because you're the only one that's going to suffer. Those guys, you know, they're just in it for the fun and the games. I am concerned. Again, I'm an outsider looking in. You know, Jevohn mentioned his dad. You know, his dad is living the NBA life, and that's a little concerning to me because his dad's not playing, and Ja is playing. And if his dad is with him all the time, his dad's close to him all the time, he's in it. He's got to say, "What are you doing, son?" All right. This is, and the fact that that's not happening, I worry about that relationship and the dynamics of that relationship because this kid he's got the world by the short hairs, and right now that's the last thing you want to do is screw it up. And he's had multiple incidents, and he's playing with fire.
All right, guys, good stuff. Going to stop it there. Jack, get to the bus. Give a happy birthday to Travis Stone, my buddy.
I will.
Next game for the Raptors, Monday night against the Denver Nuggets. Tip-off goes at 9 p.m. Eastern. After the game, be sure to catch Raptors Tonight on Raptors YouTube and NBA TV Canada. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.